Welcome to A&B Horror Movies. I'm Aaron, and I'm very excited to be joined by James Morris today. James, welcome.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait to chat with you about your brand new film, He Never Left. I've got a copy of it right here.
I'm looking for a room.
How many guests?
Just one.
He's not that smart. You know we'll catch him.
Stop it!
So where is he? Maybe Paleface is back.
So what the hell happened? Gabe.
You know what? Look, I take responsibility for my choices in life, okay? I know what the consequences are, but it's a two-way street. Something happened.
What did you do?
What was I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to get on the phone, call 911?
Harley Phelps, U.S. Marshals, come to the door.
So he killed her?
No turning back.
The password for the Wi-Fi? No turning back.
Who are you?
More service! It's not Paleface.
But before we dive into that, you are an actor, a writer, a director, probably many other hats that you wear that I didn't list there, but you did write, direct, and act in He Never Left, which is very impressive. You also co-wrote and starred in They Live Inside Us. You starred in The Demon of Serling, 1031 Part 3. I love those anthology films. Curse
They're
of the
fun.
Crom. Yes, you also wrote, directed, and starred in episodes of The Witching Season. So congratulations on all of those projects that you've been involved with. But
Thank you.
let's talk about, you're very welcome. Let's talk about He Never Left, your new slasher about the legend of Paleface, the Paleface Killer. So my first question for you is, how did it all come about? What inspired this film, and what inspired the Paleface Killer?
So the movie came about originally it was kind of like a crime thriller. The very first drafts I ever wrote was called Room 28, and it was
Yes.
much more of a one location kind of isolated, never leave the room kind of setting, and just kind of started evolving from there. And I had a finished script that I took to Michael Balloff, my buddy, and this was all kind of written during COVID, so we all had a lot of extra time.
Mm.
So it's like finally, you know what, I'm going to
Yes.
write a feature. So took
We
that to
did have a lot
Balloff.
of free time for a few years there, right?
Yeah,
Go
good
ahead.
Lord, just sitting there and writing and like can't go to movies,
Yeah,
can't do anything. So
can't leave
so
the
we
house.
yeah. So I took that idea that screenplay
Mhm.
to Mike, and he read it and he really liked it. But he said, if we're gonna do this kind of in with the company and the well, he said two things. He said we can do it as it is if you want, which is
Mhm.
fine, or we can try to fit it into witching season, kind of that style and genre that we'd been doing for so many years. And he suggested adding a masked killer to it. And so that was Mike's original suggestion. And so I kind of just took that and was like, okay, what would that mean for the script? And as I went back and I started to integrate this third character into it, it kind of all just fell into place. Like the issues that I had were actually mainly solved by that. And so I just started to build it on that. And then the origins of Paleface and just kind of the feeling I went for is based on not one true story, but a true story-ish, where there was a girl in my hometown who had gone missing years and years ago. It was like a big national case and everything. This was back years and years ago. Man, probably 20 something plus now, but um, she had gone
Oh,
missing,
wow.
and to
Mhm.
this day, her parents still have missing posters up around the town. Like you'll see them occasionally at gas stations, and they've done aging on the face and everything. And so I still see those. So that kind of forlorning, just kind of broken feel that I'm sure that this family is clearly experiencing so many years later. I thought, man, that's kind of a haunting feeling, like to still see those. And so I like the idea where this killer had been active for so long and then stopped, but yet people are still thinking about it and still worried about it. And so that was, again, largely from that.
Mm.
And
Mm.
the funny thing on that, though, too, is the suspects in that case have never confessed, but they have gone to prison for different charges.
Oh
And
gosh.
I worked as a correctional officer before I went to the street, and so I actually have met the suspect in that murder case. So at a
Who
prison where I worked. And so
who
it's an
likely
interest,
did it?
very, I mean, if not him, he was there kind of thing. Very, all the evidence is
Oh
pointing
my
to that.
gosh. Yeah, that's
And
horrific.
so, yeah. And so anyway, it's just kind of this big cyclical thing that I have unintentionally been involved in over the years. So it kind of all came to that. And so it just, there's a lot of, and even in the character that I play and, the writing with the marshals and everything, there's a lot of just personal things in it for me. Just I write what I know, I guess. And
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of
Mm.
those things are just based on nuances and people and experiences and things that I've had. Even Gabriel, the main character, is, I mean, that's a classic convict down to his
Yes.
core. At least that's what I tried to do. And so anyway, long
Hmm.
answer to your question, but that's kind of
No, I
how it all
love it.
came.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've offered even more insight into your film. And speaking of the crime thriller aspect, it's really interesting that you say that the script started out as a crime thriller, because one of my questions that for you is the movie itself starts out as a crime thriller, but then evolves into a horror film. You start to see horror elements come through. Was it always your intention to have it line up that way? I guess you answered this a little bit, or did it almost take on more of a life of its own once you were filming once filming started?
No, the pacing always, even from the original draft, the overall arc of that original crime thriller draft was pretty much what it is now. It's a lot of the character things
Okay.
and the legendarium that kind of filled in with Paleface. Um,
Mhm.
it was always kind of more focused on the characters as opposed to just, blood and guts, which is nothing wrong with blood and guts. I
Yes,
love it. That's one thing. That's one of the
absolutely.
critiques I've had is people are like, "Ah, I wish it was more violent." And I was like, yeah, it wasn't quite what the movie was. If I ever did a sequel, maybe that would be a little more prevalent. But anyway,
Yes.
yeah, so it didn't change a whole lot
Okay.
from the original pacing, but perhaps a little bit. Nothing on set really changed structure wise. We definitely came up with, we can talk about it a little more later, but the ending scene, that confrontation with Gabe and Bryce, that definitely didn't change what, like, there was a confrontation, but how that happened changed as we were figuring it out. And so
Mhm.
things like that, but structure wise, not too much.
Not too much. Okay. What's interesting to hear there was an evolution with that scene, let's say.
Big
So
evolution, yeah.
yeah, okay, awesome. I have to ask. So, like I mentioned, you wrote, you directed, you acted in the film. What was that like, and what are the challenges of having to take on so many roles with a film like this?
So that is just, I think, a collective testament to independent filmmakers because I
Of
know
course.
if any indie filmmakers listen to this, odds are you've done that exact same damn thing. Because like
Mhm,
that's
mhm.
such a necessity when you're doing these lower budget things. So I'm lucky enough that I had the experience isn't the right word, but I'd done it before with witching season stuff and s- I mean, I guess I didn't really act in my own things a whole lot before, maybe a cameo, but um it's difficult because I think if you don't have a good partner, you can kind of get lost in your individual tasks. Like I was lucky that Balef would kind of fill in and be my eyes and ears when I was on screen.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, because I had to focus on trying to get this cop performance right. And funny enough, talking about that, it was actually his idea for me to play the U.S. Marshal in that. I originally was going to play Paleface because
Oh,
it was more
very
limited screen
different.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was limited screen time. I could just make it fun. I didn't have to overthink a lot of things. So that was my original plan. I didn't really feel like after They Live Inside Us, I did not feel like acting again. I was like, because that movie took a year of just weekend shooting to make. And so I
Oh,
just was
wow.
so burned out. And so him suggesting, well, he's like, you're a cop, just be a cop. Like, just why would you not do this? And I was like, oh, he's got a point, right? And
Yeah.
so that kind of that has how that came in. And then when I was acting, he would kind of coach performances and look for things that I wasn't seeing. So without that, I probably wouldn't have done that because it's not everyone can
Mm.
be Mel Gibson and direct Braveheart and act in Braveheart. I'm
And do
that
it
that
all.
seemed
Yes.
yeah, it seems so daunting to me if I hadn't had that help. So
Mm.
that's why I was okay doing that. I was fortunate to have him there. And Sean, my co-star, who I'm with most of the time in that, is an old friend of mine who I've known him since middle school. Um,
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah,
we
yeah. I
we
could
we
see it now that you mention it. The chemistry between you two is fantastic.
yeah, so we used to like audition for the same plays in drama class way back when, and he'd get the parts and I'd
Who
get
got
the
most? Yeah,
Sean. Oh yeah, always Sean. That bastard always got him. So yeah, he'd
yeah.
be like the lead and I'd be the supporting something. So but
Okay.
again with that connection, I was super comfortable with him, and so there wasn't that pressure of like had I been acting with somebody different, right? So it just
Yes.
made it all easier to do that. So sorry, another long answer, but hopefully that's
No,
kind of
that's great. And I was just going to say to add to that that I think it's fantastic you took on the detective role because it seemed very natural. And like I said, the chemistry, but the seeing you two together on the screen and now knowing that you are friends in real life, it makes sense because it just comes across flawlessly. Um, and that's all I'll say about that. So really nice job. And I
thank
will
you.
say that you make it look easy, at least from watching the film, acting in it, directing and writing. At
Man.
least from the audience perspective, you make it look easy. So
Yeah, that was
nicely
rough.
done.
Thank
Nicely
you.
done.
And
It was
it's
rough.
it's kind of funny on the you're talking about like the acting thing and it feeling natural. It's so that dynamic that the two officers have, that is like how cops are. Like that is like that
Okay.
back and forth,
Just
the
the
banter, how they
banter.
behave.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that is largely based on just how I've interacted with real partners over the years. And in fact, in the ending move of the movie, when there's that raid,
Mhm.
every one of those officers except Sean is a real cop on a fugitive team that I've operated on for years. So those are all
Oh, like
real
the raid
officers.
at the motel.
Yep. So that's
Yeah,
my
yeah.
real team that I used to like do stuff with. And so that's why and it's so funny too, because I read a couple reviews. And
That's
again,
cool. Yeah, yeah. So
so
they get
some
IMDb credit now, right?
yeah, yeah. So talking about objectivity, but it's funny when I'll read a
Mm.
review and the person's like, "Oh, I didn't buy those cops for a second. They didn't act like police officers." I'm like, "Are you sure?" Because
But they are.
yeah, I was like, mainly me and Sean, just that banter. Like, yeah, the cops were too
Mm.
silly. I didn't buy them as cops. It's like you've never met a cop, then I don't know what to tell you. Like that's how they behave. So
That's how it
it's
works.
just
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
it's kind of funny.
I didn't have a problem with that. And that raid scene, since you mentioned it, I love the way you filmed it at the end. There's one scene where they're sort of coming up on the door and they just sort of
Hmm.
flank the door and it looks beautiful. I thought it looked good.
Yeah. Well, I tried to
Um,
make it actually tact. I tried to make it. We took a couple liberties to make it visually cooler, but I really did actually try to bring real tactics into it. I didn't want it to just be like, freeze
yeah.
like they do in so many other movies. I
Mhm.
wanted it to look cool, and so I tried to balance thematicism with actual police tactics, and so
Yes. Yes.
hopefully it worked.
Yeah, I think so. I thought the timing of it and the way it all comes together in the end, excellent job. Let's see.
Thank
I
you.
do have questions, and we could
Yes,
just go
sorry.
on and on, but I do have some questions. Let's talk a little bit about the casting process because Colin Cunningham, who plays Gabe, is phenomenal. What a talented actor. And Jessica Staples as Carly, the two of them really shine in this
Yeah.
film. Can you speak to the casting process and perhaps what it was like working with them? And did you know, like, filming like these two are just fantastic, very talented
Yes.
actors.
So I met Colin down at Horror Fest in
Mhm.
so let me close my door. My kids are I can hear them. I met Colin down at Horror Fest in St.
Mhm.
George. It's a horror film festival. We were screening They Live Inside Us down there.
Oh,
And
cool. Okay.
yeah, so I met him down there and I'd seen him in stuff growing up. Like he'd been in The
Yeah, yeah.
X-Files and a couple other things. And so I knew he was
Yes.
really, really good. And so I just connected with him after and just said, "Hey, I'm working on this idea. Would you maybe be possibly interested in collaborating on it?" And he said, "Well, send me a screenplay." So we stayed in touch and I sent him what I had and he loved it. And
Mm.
it was never an audition process for Colin because I'd seen him act. I was like, if we can get this guy to do this part, I know he'd be phenomenal. And
Yeah.
he immediately expressed interest. In fact, he wanted to shoot it like a year before. He's like, "Why don't we just shoot it this winter? Everyone's in lockdown." And I was still working on the pale face elements, and I was like, "Ah, it's not quite there yet." But no, he is a powerhouse of an actor. I've never worked with anybody
Absolutely.
so devoted. I
Hmm.
mean, yeah, he sacrificed his mind, his body, everything. Jessica, and again, it's funny how things just work. Like he uh Colin met Jessica, I want to say at Horror Fest the next year after I had met him. So I wasn't there,
Okay.
but she's lives down in southern Utah. So he met her as I was auditioning people for Carly. And he said, "Hey, I met this actress. You should audition her." And he sent me her contact information. She reached out and sent me a tape. And hers always stood out for me. She looked like Carly in my head. Like that's how I kind of pictured her. And her performance was just so grounded and real. And so I went through, man, Carly, we watched a couple dozen reels for actresses who auditioned for that. And it all came
Yep.
back to Jessica. She just had
Mm.
it. And then because she lived in southern Utah with Colin, she would, once they were cast, they would actually rehearse weeks and weeks leading up to
Oh, that's
shooting.
so cool.
And
Yeah.
so they had all this time to prepare and they were just so seamless in their performance. And the first scene we shot was them acting in that fighting in the motel room that first night when they arrived. That was the first scene we shot on the movie with them. And they were so in sync with it and they practiced it so much. I remember looking to Mike Balliff and I was just like, man, I don't even have a job right now. Like they are so in the moment and just had it. And so yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
those two were phenomenal. I could not have asked for two
Hmm.
better actors, an actor and
Hmm.
an actress to do that. It was awesome.
Oh, for sure. Congrats on getting them. I'm getting chills just thinking about that opening scene. The they bounce off each other so well, and
Yeah.
it's so intense, and the depth of their relationship comes through, and how they treat each other and act together. So I don't know. I can't say enough good things about having them in your film. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. Um, and before I forget, there's one moment in the film when Gabe, played by Colin Cunningham, is speaking about his parents leaving him behind as a kid. Oh my God, it's so profound, and it's just, I don't know, very well written, very well acted. I loved that moment. It's not even really a horror element, except that there's a ghost. No spoilers. There's someone nefarious standing behind him in the background while he's
Well,
telling that.
you asked earlier about changes, and I wish I
Hmm.
could take credit for that scene. That scene is entirely Colin's idea. He came to
Oh,
me, he came to me on set and he said, "I have an idea for a monologue." He showed me the monologue and we,
okay.
we tweaked it a little bit, but he's like, "I have this idea for a monologue. I don't know where it would go. I don't know where it would fit. Do you mind if we shoot it?" And, we're pretty cramped on time, but I was like, you know what? Let's do it. If you feel strongly about it, let's sit down and do it. And so we shot this monologue. And as we were
Hmm.
shooting it, I said, "Oh, well, why don't we put that?" It was either me or Mike. So I want to take credit for it, but it might have been Mike to put the kid in the background. But so Colin shot this thing, and we shot a bunch of different versions of it.
Hmm.
And it was in the editing bay when I was like, "Oh my God, I know where to put this scene." It's that transitionary piece. So it's one of my favorite moments in
Yes.
the movie too. And I did not write it, and that's probably why I like it so much, is because I can.
It's so good.
Yeah, I'm,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not. I'm not. Yeah, so it's Colin. Colin really brought it on that. I'm so
Oh,
it humanized the character so much. I'm really glad that
oh,
he did that. So
absolutely. So huge shout out to him. And he's in a situation that, I mean, he's partly to blame for it, but it was also accidental too. Um,
yeah,
Again, I don't want to spoil anything. And the placement of that scene is so perfect because something horrific has just happened, and it
yeah.
takes you out of that. So you're watching this thinking, "Oh my God, what did I just witness? And what's going to happen next?"
It
So
it was a godsend. Yeah, it
it,
just it just worked out perfectly where we ended up needing it. So
yeah,
yeah.
it was incredible. Let's see. The mask designs, the mask of the
Mm.
Paleface Killer. What was that process like? And do you still have the mask?
Oh, I do. It's actually right here. Let me grab
Oh
it off
my
my
God,
wall.
even better. No way.
Yeah, so I kept a couple things. I kept one of the knives, and then I kept
Oh, look at that. That's
the
so cool.
mask. So yeah, this was a design by Billy. I took the straps off it so it would
Okay, okay.
fit in my thing, but
Oh my God, I love it.
I know it's a cool mask, right?
That's
So
so cool. Yeah, yeah. You have to
our
wear that every
our
Halloween.
yeah, well, Billy actually did it. He cosplayed as it, the guy who designed the mask. He, I think, at one of the events in the
Oh,
UK, and I can't remember which one
okay.
it was, but
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
he lives in the UK, and so I was looking for a designer, and I just came across his Instagram. It's amazing how many people you can just connect with from that site, but
Yeah, I mean that's how you and I connected.
yeah.
So, yeah.
And I was looking at his designs and I thought, man, this guy could really do this. And so I reached out to him and he was like so excited. Like he'd been waiting for someone to ask him to do that for so long. And so I just sent him a really crappy sketch that was kind of like this. And he just built
Mhm.
on it. And the idea was to make a guy, depending on what angle you're looking at, he's either pissed off or happy or, so depending on
Oh
the angles we
yeah.
shoot at,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
originally we were going to try to track the shots of the movie, try to capture his mood, but I think that just got lost after trying to pick angles. So there's some of that in there, but so he just kept designing it till we came up with this, and I just loved, yeah, I love his mask design. And
Yeah,
the
me too.
film
That's
had its
mhm.
international premiere at Fright Fest, and so in London. And so Billy got
Oh,
to go
nice.
to Fright Fest. We couldn't make it. We premiered at Film Quest here, but Billy got to go to Fright Fest in London, this massive horror festival, and he wore
Did
the
he wear
costume.
oh, he wore the whole
Yeah.
thing.
So that was so cool to have him he actually went to another one in the UK. Colin was out there filming a movie and he met up with
Okay.
Colin and went to another UK festival, Black Sunday, I think it was. And so he actually got to meet Colin, who had starred in the movie, and they went to that
Oh,
together. So
nice.
it just
Nice.
everything just worked out for. I was so happy for Billy because it's such a cool resume piece to have that on his thing. I love the dude. He's been awesome. So want to use him again
Yeah,
for sure.
and that mask is killer. I mean, you can see it here on the cover, but it doesn't compare to you holding up the actual.
Yeah,
Wow, seeing it in
yeah.
person is even scarier.
I'll hold on
Nice.
to it and maybe we'll use it again someday. We'll see. Who knows?
Yes. Let's see. So your film it pays homage to the classic slasher films out there. It's set on Halloween, but I wouldn't say that this is a movie you can only watch in October. I think it's a perfect
Sure.
candidate to watch in October, but it's a year-round slasher, unlike let's say maybe the Halloween. Everyone watches that in October.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. I guess I'm just giving you some more praise there. That I'm a fan there,
Please,
but
please,
I'll just keep giving you praise.
just
Well, let
heap
me
it
ask you
on.
this. So there are films that you do pay homage or tribute to in it. There are a lot of Easter eggs, like Halloween, of course. There's the Shining vibes, Psycho, even with the motel setting. Um, what are some other films, perhaps, that you paid tribute to in He Never Left? Or did I
So yeah,
cover all the big ones? Go ahead.
there's a couple. So yeah, you mentioned Halloween, obviously, because that kind
Mhm.
of defined that genre. Um, a big one for me and a big inspiration actually was The Strangers, um,
Oh, nice.
with
Yeah.
Scott Speedman and Liv Tyler, I think was the
Hmm.
two in there.
Yep. Absolutely.
So there's a lot of, again, not direct correlation, but a lot of maybe subtle things in there because that movie did something that I was trying to do with this, which is bring realism to the kind of
Hmm.
genre, the slasher genre. If you watch Halloween versus The Strangers, one's a bit more, maybe over the top, a little more fun. Strangers is a little more dark and grounded.
Oh,
And
for
so
sure. Yeah.
I always gravitate towards realism. I don't know why, but that's just me. And so there's a lot of
Mm.
that one in there specifically. I think that was probably the subconsciously behind the scenes, one of the biggest influences was that one. I really love that movie.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I didn't pick up on that, but now that you mention it, um, I can totally see it, and I'm looking forward to see what the other Strangers films coming out are like.
Yeah, I've not seen
I
the
guess
newest one. I saw Pray at Night. I've not seen the
Prey Night's
chapter
so
one or
good.
whatever it is. Yeah, I will, but
Yeah, I liked it. It got a lot of hate, but it's. I mean, I don't know. Check it out. I won't sway
sure.
your opinion either way. So you mentioned that this film that you showed your film at festivals with live audiences. What was it like being present in the theater with a live audience watching your movie and witnessing their reaction?
So I get really stressed out during live screenings. Um,
Okay.
when
I
I was
understand. Yeah.
with They Live Inside Us, I actually wouldn't really stay in the. I'd walk out and go do something. I just can't watch myself. And apparently, a lot of people can't watch myself on camera either. They, but yeah, that one was harder. This one I was able to detach a little bit, and I really liked people. You could literally feel the tension in the room during a few moments, like some of the drama stuff, some of the scene when somebody turns up dead. I won't give away who, but you could cut the tension with a knife. And so it was fun to gauge how people reacted and listen to,
Mhm.
the sway of emotion and everything. So I really enjoyed it this time. There was a couple screenings. We had a pretty packed house. And yeah, it was enjoyable. Billy sent me some video from Fright Fest, and that audience reacted like crazy. Like they were
Oh, cool.
shouting and laughing and crying, and it was just like, so yeah, it definitely, that's why you make movies, right? Is you want people to enjoy them.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so seeing that real time, I think was validating at some of these bigger festivals. Like we went to New York too at there and a few other ones. So it was,
Oh, wow.
yeah, it definitely felt like we had done what we set out to do. And again, like we were saying, not everyone loved it, like have a great screening and then the next day a bunch of shitty reviews on Letterbox pop up, right? It's just, it is what it
Yeah.
is,
You
but
can't please
yeah,
everyone, right?
but
Mhm.
being there definitely invigorated me. It was definitely fulfilling to have that experience. So we did a big tour this time at festivals, and I'm glad we did. We went out of our way to go to a
Mm.
lot, so it was fun.
Well, I have watched it twice now. I liked it even more the second time. I'm a fan. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I would have loved to have seen it with an audience and on the big screen. But at least I
Thank
have
you.
a physical copy here. I just want to say before we get to this or that, that I'm a fan of your film. I think it's smart. I love the pacing. I think it makes the audience think about what's happening. It's not entirely spoon-fed, and it's not predictable at all. There are a lot of twists in there that I didn't see coming. So congrats. And speaking of I guess there were some comedic elements. I love the insertion of what is it? Mountain Refresher, which is a soda. And they refer to it as Mountain Dew, but for assholes. I love it, man. I don't know.
Thank
That's
you.
that's fantastic. Made me
Had
laugh.
had had to have a
And that
little humor in there, yeah.
yes, and I love that the Mountain Refresher then comes up in other scenes in the film too.
Yeah.
So that was nicely done. And the theme of the cicadas I thought was really smart too, because there was a whole conversation between the detectives, and then you hear the sounds of the cicadas, and then it comes up again at the end of the movie,
Yeah.
and it also ties into the pale face killer and the fact that he goes dormant, or that the community thinks he's gone dormant, and there's a fear that maybe he's back once again.
Yeah,
Um,
see, and that came in again after writing the paleface character into it. That whole idea of,
yeah,
oh yeah, like what's a representation of this, some symbolism. So just cool things that came from adding that mass killer into it. And that was a big one of them, was that theme of resurgence and everything. So
oh, for sure. It worked so well. So I guess before we do this or that, well, two things. Would you ever do a sequel? Um, and lastly, if you could describe other movies that describe what your film is like, what would you choose? Sort of like Alien meets Predator, if you could pick a couple
sure.
of films, especially for those who haven't seen it.
Yeah. Would I do a sequel? I would love to do a sequel. In fact, I know what it would be. I have the idea. It totally depends on if it does well, or
Excellent.
if Dread,
Yeah.
because I think they have first sequel rights on it if I decided I wanted to pursue it. So to be
Okay.
determined. I would love to. I definitely got a good idea. And it
Yeah.
definitely is in the spirit of what this one was. And so um
Nice. Well,
yeah,
you keep it open ended in a way that you could have. There's so many things you could do with a
I
sequel. So
I think people would
I
like.
hope it happens. I
Ah,
hope it
me too,
happens.
man. Me too. These things are, it's an emotional battle with these things. You have these stories you want to tell, but
Oh, for
um
sure. Well, you have my support for what
well,
it's worth.
thank you. I appreciate that. And then movies of that describe my movie. I mean, you touched on it a little bit. It's like this is a little bit different, and again, some people love it, some people hate it. I just wanted to do something different. That was my ultimate goal, was to make something, not to subvert expectations, as they say, but just to kind of throw a mass killer into a real scenario. That was kind of the idea. So movies, I would say, I think I've used this one before. Rear Window meets Psycho, or Rear Window meets
Nice.
Halloween would be
Oh yeah, I
one.
love it. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
probably, yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me think
Cool. Yeah, I
here.
could see that.
The Strangers meets No Country for Old Men,
Yes.
maybe.
I love that too.
Yeah, yeah. So th those are the two that I probably think of, and there actually was
Excellent.
some No Country for Old Men inspiration in there too, very subtly. I love that movie. So
Mhm. Cool. Well, like I said, I can't say enough about your film. So let's
thank you.
do this or that. You're welcome. Let's do this or that. So I gave you a little bit of a heads up. It's basically one thing or the other, no right or wrong answer, no pressure, and it's usually fun. Usually.
Usually,
Um, usually. Okay, let's see. Friday the 13th or Sleepaway Camp?
oh, Sleepaway Camp.
Good choice.
Love Friday the 13th.
I do love them
Sleepaway.
both though.
Yeah, Sleepaway
Yeah,
Camp's a
yeah.
little uncomfortable. Yeah, probably that one.
The big reveal, right?
Yeah. Ugh.
Let's see. Home invasion horror or a road trip from hell?
Home invasion horror.
Yes, I thought so. It's because of the strangers or like I don't know, like the strangers or the hitcher maybe.
There's nothing more
Anyway,
scary than someone coming into your house, man. That's terrifying.
yes, yes.
That
Oh,
that'll keep you up.
I completely agree. There's a new
Yeah.
movie out called Looky Loo. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I have
It's
not.
basically about a guy who has a handheld camera, stalks women, and breaks into their houses
Oh,
and
geez.
records. It's so disturbing, yet I couldn't stop watching it. And there's
Looky
no
Lou.
dialogue.
Okay.
There's no
Yeah.
dialogue in the film. Maniac vibes too.
Okay.
I've been plugging this movie lately because I was so impressed with
I'll
that. I think
check it out. Yeah.
they're on to something special. Let's see, where was I? Oh my gosh. The Dark and the Wicked or When Evil Lurks, if you've seen those films.
The Dark and the Wicked. I really liked that one.
That was so good,
That
yes.
caught me
And
off
then,
guard. How good that
yeah,
was.
that was so good, right? That scene at the end. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Um, let's see, book adaptation or video game adaptation?
Book adaptation. Love
Yeah,
video
for sure.
games. Those successful ones are few and far between, I feel like, on video game adaptations.
Absolutely. I couldn't
So
agree more.
the Last of Us was good. That's that show. I liked that.
Yeah, that's great. And some of I mean, the first Resident Evil is pretty good.
Yeah, it's true. It's kind of like its own timeless kind of cult classic kind of thing. It kind of took it and did its
Yeah,
own thing with it. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Where am I? Okay, so these are two films. Vacancy or Identity?
Hmm. Identity.
See what I did? See what I did there with the motel setting?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, yeah. Both good films. Psycho 1 or Psycho 2?
I got to go with Psycho 1. Psycho 2 is good.
Mhm,
Psycho 1 was definitely one of those ones that stuck with me as a kid.
for sure.
That
Mhm.
movie is as effective in some of those moments now as it was when it came out, and that's not easy to do. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's hard to even compare that to anything. That's why I thought let's go with the sequel. But the sequel's great too. It's like the '80s
yeah, yeah.
slasher.
And I forget the actor's
Uh,
name who played it.
uh,
Is it
oh,
God?
Anthony Perkins,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That guy is so
and
good. Like I love that dude.
is it Meg Tilly or is it? mm, yeah, Anthony Perkins is
Yeah, yeah.
phenomenal.
He's so fun. And that moment in the end of Psycho when they bring him the blanket or whatever, and he's thank you in his mom's voice. That's so,
Oh my
oh,
God,
it's so
yes, yes,
sadistic. I love that
yes.
kind of stuff, man.
Psycho 2. Yeah, Anthony Perkins and Meg Tilly.
Okay.
Uh, anyway, let's see. I digress here. I lost my place. Intruder or Chopping Mall?
Hmm. Man, it's been a long time since I've seen. I want to Chopping. I don't know if I've seen that one.
No, no. Oh, it's
I
so
don't think
good.
I have. I
There's
think
like
I've seen
these
Intruder.
robots, and
Chopping Mall. Okay, I'm gonna add that one to my list.
it's got
Chopping Mall.
Kelly Maroney is in it from
Okay.
oh my God, I'm drawing a complete blank. Night of the Comet is in
Okay.
Chopping Mall too.
I'll it looks awesome. Okay, I'll add that one to my
It's
watch
fun.
list.
Yeah. Oh, it's a classic.
Chopping Mall.
Let's
Okay.
see. Fine dining or food trucks?
Um, I think if I'm remembering correctly, I'm gonna say food trucks.
Yeah, food trucks. It's
Yeah,
basically like you
yeah,
want to go out to dinner or eat
yeah,
on the street, I suppose.
yeah.
Um, okay, two more. Maniac 1980 or Maniac from 2012?
Um, Maniac. In fact, it's funny you
The
talk about
first
food
one. Yeah.
trucks. The last time I ate at a food truck, I got sick, but I love food trucks. So
Oh gosh.
that's it's funny you say that, but I think food trucks are some of the best food you can find if you find the right ones. But yeah, I think the
Oh,
last time I ate,
absolutely.
I
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
did get sick.
Hmm.
Jeez.
Well, it's
Sorry.
like going to a beach vacation resort. How many times have you gotten sick there, but you still go back?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Fine dining's fun, but you know, food trucks.
Getting dressed up, it's such a pain.
Yeah.
Let's see. Last one, Jaws or Halloween 78?
Hmm. Dang, people are gonna kill me for this, but probably Jaws. But that's more of a nostalgia thing for me because just the timing of when I saw
Yeah.
that movie. That was an early watch for me at like 11 years old. I didn't see
Mhm.
Halloween until I was in my 20s. My parents wouldn't let me watch slashers growing up. So I'm gonna
Oh,
have to, yeah. So it's not necessarily a ones I like more than the other, but Jaws definitely the nostalgia of Jaws stays with me more than Halloween because of the time that I watched it.
oh, for
Like
sure.
the Thing is one of those as well. Like the Thing, John Carpenter's The
Mhm,
Thing versus
mhm.
Halloween. The Thing is probably my favorite horror movie because of how influential. When I saw it,
So
it
good.
just burned into my
Yes.
memory. And yeah, yeah. My
Yep.
parents wouldn't show me Halloween, but my dad showed me The Thing. What the hell is up with that? That makes no sense, right? But The
No.
Thing is like horrific, man. I need to ask my dad about that. Be like, what the hell, man? How'd you
Maybe it's
quantify
because
that decision?
he
Yeah.
wanted to watch the thing, perhaps. And
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
maybe. Yeah,
Um,
geez. That just
well, at
occurred to
least
me as
now
we're
you
talking.
can,
It's like,
at least you got to discover Halloween in your 20s and
yeah.
um, other slashers as well. I mean, I saw Halloween all the way through as a kid. It's my favorite movie, and I probably started loving it 100% in my 20s as well. I
Okay, so
appreciated it
it
more.
kind of
Um,
came to you later.
so yeah,
Yeah,
because it's kind of slow. It's a slow build up. I mean,
yeah, but
that's
that's
what
what I
works so
like about
well
it. Yeah.
for me.
That's what
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
that's what I like. I prefer that over some of the newer ones because it's like you actually get to sit and feel like what these characters are doing and you get to enjoy the town and you get to see these, the decorations and the
Of
atmosphere. It's
course.
like, yeah, some of that gets lost sometimes. And that again, that's kind of what I was trying to do was to make something that you have to think
Mhm.
about and feel. And anyway, it's yeah, I'm glad that I'm not alone on that because I definitely feel that way.
100%. And like you were saying with Halloween, the night sort of unfolds, and then the horrific elements of it start to come about, and that's exactly what happens with your film as well.
Yeah.
He never left. So
Yeah, you got to let it simmer,
excellent.
right? So,
Get it, let it simmer, yeah, and watch it twice. I recommend that. Um, let's see. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today. This has been fantastic. One more time, I'll show He Never Left. Uh, Grab a copy of the Blu-ray if you're watching, as well as like and subscribe because it helps our channel. And thank you again, James, for talking with me. This has been awesome.
yeah, this was a great conversation. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Agreed. All right, bye everyone.